We will replay in the last hour. Okay. Yeah. Oh, really? That's funny. Guru and I actually hosted together on 95.7 The Game. Yeah, I love them. Yeah, I was in the Bay Area. Yeah. Who you think I am? Well, you'll be the first. All right, let's do it. Thursday edition of the show. All across America on the SportsMap Radio Network, the SportsMap Radio app. We knew tonight was going to be rough. Little did we know it was going to be this rough. Little did we know the Yankee game would get rained out. Yankees-Guardians game 2 of that series in the Bronx now tomorrow afternoon because it got rained out. And all we're left with is hockey. Bless your heart. Opening week hockey. And this god-awful Thursday night football game. I said it last Thursday. We knew it was going to be bad. It was just a question of how bad. Oh, but wait, there was a touchdown. The Bears are on the board. Oh, my goodness. Al Michaels might I'll get to this later on in the hour, but Al Michaels might legitimately retire after this game. I mean, it's the first touchdown he's seen in 2 weeks. Oh, my goodness. What a disaster for Prime Video. To go from last week's game, which should have been better, but granted. But this one you knew was going to be bad. There's sometimes where you look at the schedule and you say, oh, no, it's going to be a good game, and then it's a dud. This one you knew was going to be bad. And when you put it with last week's game, I know some people, look, if you paid for Prime Video, you're going to watch the games regardless because you paid for it, and you just feel like you have to. But this is, yeesh. I mean, I wonder I can't wait to see what the ratings number is for this thing. We'll talk betting on the Thursday night football game. We always do some live betting talk during the second half, so we'll do that in this hour of the program. Guys dropping perfect throws, wide open receivers being missed in the end zone. It's as bad as you could think it is. Daryl Guru Johnson hosts middays on the Warriors flagship station, 95.7 The Game. We'll talk to him about the Warriors with Draymond Green back in the fold now. Also talk with him about the San Francisco 49ers. But as we continue, the NFL, the House of Cards, and Daniel Snyder. That's where we begin this edition of the Cash In. SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. Stay with us. Cool. Seven 3 Bears on top of the Commanders. 4:53 to go, third quarter. Prime Video. We will keep tabs on it if anything of note happens. Something tells me they won't. I mean, look, we'll do the live betting stuff coming up in a couple of minutes. But, I mean, how often do you see a game midway through the fourth quarter and the live betting line, the total is 25.5? I told you guys last night the only thing worth betting on in this game was the total, because everything else is just garbage. So for me, it had to be the under. I mean, I joked around about maybe it'll surprise everybody and go over, but 37 or 38.5? No way. This game was never going over. It's just awful. If last week's game was the equivalent to emptying a colostomy bag, what is this week's game? Can we come up with something? Maybe producer engineer Brian working back in Houston could come up with something. There's a phone number if you want to talk to us, 800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. You can tweet at the show throughout the program at the back page, again on Twitter, at the back page. I love to do like live betting talk, but this thing, there's just not much to say. There really isn't. But we'll still do it, and we'll have some fun. Al Michaels may retire after this game. I'll explain what I'm talking about there. Daryl Guru Johnson joins us coming up in about 25 minutes. Hosts middays on the Warriors flagship station, 95.7 The Game in the Bay Area. We'll talk to him about the Warriors and the Niners. But you have to begin with sort of the bombshell that we all woke up to this morning, and that was the Daniel Snyder story that ESPN put out. And I don't know how much of this is necessarily shocking. It's shocking to see it in its print form, and to read about it is kind of stunning. And sort of the detail that ESPN was able to bring about. And terrific job. I mean, I love great journalism. I started my career as a journalist, as a reporter, as a news anchor. So I appreciate good journalism, and this was good journalism. But it has to be frightening for the NFL. That essentially what you're talking about now, after you read this story, and again, I think we all kind of secretly knew this, but I don't know how many people are willing to say it out of fear of, being shut out by the league or its partners, because as many of you know, if you don't play the game, you don't get access. And the fact that ESPN went out of its way and did this sort of piece, to me, it's gutsy, because the league can't be happy about it. That essentially now they've been shown to be essentially a house of cards that Daniel Snyder, the owner of the Washington Commanders, has the ability to tear down that house with one large breath of air. There was a quote in this story that Daniel Snyder reportedly said to an associate, and it's this: the NFL is a mafia. And you know what? I don't agree with much of Daniel Snyder and the way he's really purported to have conducted himself from a business standpoint, from an HR standpoint, from a legal standpoint. I don't agree with any of that. But if there's one thing he's right about, it's this. The NFL is absolutely a mafia. And before you get on my airwaves or get on my Twitter feed and tell me that the NFL does wonderful things for charity and they support worthy causes, well, guess what? So do a lot of mob families. You ever watch The Sopranos? And I'm not using that as my only basis. I grew up in New Haven, Connecticut, an hour and a half outside of New York City, and my grandmother used to tell us the stories about the mobs in downtown New Haven. Very large Italian community back in the day, and the mobs that used to exist. And guess what? They used to protect the locals. They used to do good things for the locals. In between the occasional murder here and there of a mouthy associate or a rival gang member or rival mafia, yeah, they used to do great things. Or breaking somebody's legs because they didn't pay on a bet. That's why you got to pay your debts. They still take care of certain factions within the communities they rule over. That's how mafias behave. And that's what the NFL is. I mean, think about all these owners. And I'm not saying that every single owner gets lumped in with a Daniel Snyder or anything like that. But again, he's basically been putting out, he's basically been putting together dossiers on all the owners. That's what's being reported. That Daniel Snyder's putting together dossiers on the owners. He essentially knows where all the bodies are buried. Think about how long he's been in the game as the owner of the Commanders, formerly the Redskins. Of course he's going to know where the bodies are buried. That's a very small fraternity we're talking about. 30-plus guys, women, all lumped together. I mean, there's only so many people you can talk to about certain things in that role. And as you know, everybody talks. And everything gets leaked around. Everybody is gossipy. And they can, sit here all day and some of these owners say, no, the owners don't hate each other. They just all hate Daniel Snyder. You think there aren't owners out there that are hoping to take a piece of Jerry Jones, what if they get a shot? You think somebody wouldn't like to go after Mark Davis, the Raiders owner, for all the crap he pulled all those years in Oakland, and now he's in Los Angeles, and then he was back in Oakland, and now he's with the Raiders, and blah, 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 blah. You think there are owners out there that don't have dirt on each other? And now the NFL is in a very difficult situation because they have to essentially decide, do we want to pull Daniel Snyder out of his ownership position? Do we want to force him out of the league? Is he bluffing? Does he really have the goods on us and on Roger Goodell? Because if he does, you're basically talking about the NFL's version of the guy who actually knows what happened in the JFK assassination. Oh, yeah, and every other major controversy that's ever taken place over the last generation. I mean, think about how long he's been in power as the owner of the Commanders, formerly the Redskins. He knows where all the bodies are buried. And supposedly he's got dirt on Jerry Jones. Now, here's where it gets interesting. And I think this is the next part of this to watch because the owners are going to meet in the coming weeks to make a decision on what to do with him. He's got all these different legal dramas that are playing out around Daniel Snyder. So you've got all of that playing out. And now it's public knowledge that he may have dirt on a lot of other owners around the league. So while these votes are probably secret, again, I don't know how much of anything around this league is truly secret, but while much is secret around this league, who votes to have him removed as owner? Who doesn't vote to have him removed as owner is even more interesting because in theory and by the letter of the law, he should be removed as owner given all of the negative publicity he has brought down upon the league for a long time. But especially over the last several years. Who votes him in? Who votes, yeah, he should stay in as owner? And who votes him out and says he shouldn't be owner? Are the ones that choose to keep him installed as owner of Washington, are they doing so because he has dirt on him? Or do they really think he should actually still be allowed to be the owner? And this is the last part that I find most interesting about this story. Does it even matter? I was subject this week to, let's just say, some social media fire from some people that I would describe as crazies, but some people that are also NFL fans. And the impression that I've always had of the NFL is that it's bulletproof, that nothing could really tear it down. I mean, you get bad games like tonight in prime time. There'll still be 10 million people that tune into Prime Video to watch the Saints game next week on Prime Video. You had the Ray Rice situation. You've got the Desean Watson situation. There isn't anything that can truly tear this league down. Or is there? Is there something out there that Daniel Snyder knows that is so catastrophic that it could bring this league to its knees? I don't think there is. And I don't think even if he had something, the goods, so to speak, I think the league could find its way around it. It always has. It really is the closest thing to bulletproof. And quite honestly, if Major League Baseball could survive what it did, it took a long time for it to recover. But if baseball could survive losing a postseason and Tony Gwynn's run at 400 and the Expos having a chance to finally win a World Series, all these different things. If baseball could survive that, could the NFL survive more bad press? Because that's essentially what it would be. I don't think it's anything that would change games or make us question the results of what we've seen on the field. And short of that, is there anything that could really take down this league? What do you think? 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. If you're an NFL fan, is there anything that would make you stop watching? And I get it. We don't know what we don't know. There could be something that Daniel Snyder has that is so over the top that it's something we can't even comprehend. And if that comes out, maybe it changes the calculus on how we all think of the NFL. But I don't think there is. I think there might be some embarrassment for owners, but not much beyond that. 800-224-2004. You can tweet at me as well at the back page. Let me know what you think. We'll update you on Thursday Night Football. There's been another score. Ding, ding, ding. We'll get to that. Would Al Michaels really retire after this game? I would. That'd be a hell of a story. We'll get to it next. I'm Jason Page. It's the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. different spring leagues. And people always like to make fun of these things. But how is any of this tonight better than that? You've got two teams that literally are incapable of scoring. Not because of great defense, but because of a lack of good enough players to be on both of these teams. And you think about all the guys that struggle to get an opportunity in the league. And you're telling me you cannot find better talent around this league than what we see between these two teams? And I'm sorry, I've tried my best to give Justin Fields the benefit of the doubt. But after tonight, seeing some of the throws he's made in this game and some of the throws he hasn't been able to make in this game, I mean, this is an absolute disaster for this league. This is your primetime showcase. But again, this is what makes the NFL bulletproof. If I gave you a primetime television show debuting on a new channel, new network, or a network that is established to have a lot of good shows on, and you said, hey, here's a new show on, honey, and you watched 2 episodes like the ones you had last week and this week, are you tuning in the following week? I mean, if I got 2 episodes in a row like the NFL has delivered me last week and this week, am I really tuning in again? Not to mention some of the issues they've had from a technical standpoint with these live broadcasts and buffering and video quality not being good. If take all of that into consideration, first 6 weeks of the season, you're dealing with that. Now 2 terrible episodes of a show back to back. Are you tuning in the next week? With so many different things on television to watch, with so many options these days of shows to watch, are you really tuning in the following week after what you've gotten the first 6 weeks out of Prime Video NFL football? I think we know the answer. But for some reason, it's the NFL. And I again, for the life of me, and I say this as somebody that loves the NFL, I love watching the games. I camp myself out here on the couch on Sundays and watch the games. I love it. I don't know if I'm as rabid and as passionate about it as I am some other things. And some of my love of the game has been sucked out because of some of the controversies surrounding the league that, whether fairly or unfairly, I sort of judge the league on. And it does sap some of your enjoyment from it, at least for me. Not for the typical casual fan, as I've found out this week, but for most people, for some people, it probably does. But my God, there should be apologies handed out by Prime Video and the NFL to people who have to pay for this. I mean, I would have Prime regardless because, my God, I've got packages showing up at the door every day that my partner's ordering from. So, I mean, I'd have it regardless. But if you went out of your way, took in the middle of, a bit of a downturn in the economy where people have to make decisions about what they spend their money on, and you said, you know what, honey, let's forgo this and spend $120 to have the Prime Video package so I can watch my NFL games. And she said, yeah, it's okay, great, go ahead and do it. And this is what you're getting? Again, I'm just saying as a paying consumer, this is what you're getting. Nope, I'm good. There's plenty to talk about around the NFL that we'll get to over the course of the rest of this program. We'll even pop a couple of NFL questions, 49er-related questions, to my man Daryl Guru Johnson, who hosts middays on 95.7 The Game. He joins us on the other side. Draymond Green spoke today. He's back in the mix for the Warriors. Interesting report out there about why they didn't suspend him for a game either. We got to get to that. Stick around, more to do. Opening hour of the Cash In. I'm Jason Page. Thanks for listening to us. This is SportsMap Radio. I saw. Are you that far behind me? Yeah, like I just saw the end of the 2-point conversion. Yeah, I'm way ahead of you. Rolling along on this Thursday edition of the show. It's god-awful Thursday night football game that we've all been subjected to watching. Just anything but this. Hey, there was another touchdown, though. Of course, the 2-point conversion failed. Commanders lead the Bears. I still can't get used to saying that. Commanders lead the Bears 12-7, 7:21 to go, fourth quarter. Maybe at least we'll get some drama out of this thing before it's all done. Maybe Justin Fields could drive the Bears down the field and put it in the end zone. Yeah, right. That ain't going to happen. You never know, though. Crazy things happen. I told you guys, the safest bet in the world was the under in this game last night. 38.5. Come on. All right, we'll talk some football in a couple minutes with my man, Daryl Guru Johnson, but I want to ask him about some NBA stuff as well. Are you actually watching this Thursday night game, Guru?
Oh, I'm watching it with two sets of eyes. You know why. So, yeah, I'm watching it. I'll say this, Justin Fields, he's terrible. It's like watching Emmanuel Webster play the quarterback position, but he ain't it, Jay. I've been fighting for him. I've been rooting for him, but I don't think he has the goods, man. I'm watching.
Oh, I'm with you. I'm trying to make, excuses for him, the talent around him, but, I mean, my God, he had Ryan Griffin, I think it was, wide open in the end zone in this game in the first half. I mean, he just overshot him. It was a pass you could have made. No offense, but it's a pass you could have made.
It's just, when I'm like the football guys watch everything, I'm like, you know what, that may be your only chance, but you got to hit. I mean, high school quarterbacks hit that pass, Jason. I mean, it's embarrassing. I know he's got some athletic ability, but guess what? This ain't track and field. The quarterback mannerisms are just not there. Hit the throw. I'm telling you, if I was a defensive player for the Bears, I mean, at what point, Jason, you could be team player all day, but what point do you get pissed off? Come on.
I agree.
Something.
Yeah. and they're actually pretty good defensively, although the Commanders aren't very good. But yeah, no, I get it. All right, talk to me about Draymond Green. I'm curious how you guys are handling this story in the Bay Area, obviously, with him having taken a shot at Jordan Poole and then kind of walking away from the team, which I think was kind of the smart thing to do in that spot. I have a feeling it was just as much about trying to let things blow over as much as anything. And now he's back. There's this report out there they didn't want to suspend him because they didn't want him to miss the ring night. And look, I was talking about this with Monty Poole, our buddy over at NBC Sports Bay Area, and I said, Monty, to me, this feels like a situation that the Warriors have nurtured and grown themselves over the tenure that Draymond Green was with the organization, that they sort of encouraged the behavior that he's done, and it led to this point. Am I wrong?
No. How could you be wrong? And I'm going to start with this, Jason. I'm a team player. You know that about me.
Yes, you are.
All my imperfections. I've never liked Draymond Green's antics when you show up a coach, ownership, when you get with KD and you talk about the infamous fight that you got into, and you start kissing and telling about how they got it wrong and they still had his back at every turn. I know what he brings. He's a junkyard dog. But dropping your teammate in the fashion that he did, 10 years younger than you, and there's no suspension, I had to take a couple of showers. And as much as I love the Warriors organization, Jay, that dog and pony show that they did the night before the video came out made it worse. And he still skated. I'm just blown away, man. And you know what? This is where I'm at. We're taking calls and people, oh, you hate Draymond. I don't hate Draymond. You made Frankenstein. But if they can move on, I got to let it go because my blood pressure will burst the machine that takes it, Jason. How can you call Kevin Durant out of his name and get suspended, albeit one game, and drop a dude with that dangerous hit and get nothing? Come on, man.
Well, tell me something. Obviously you guys take calls up there. You guys are hearing from listeners. And I get that listeners aren't necessarily the overall feeling of a market or a city, but is it more that people are defending Draymond Green than thinking there should have been more serious consequences?
Good question, Jason. No, it's 5-1. It's 5-1. They want him traded. It's
wow.
5-1.
Really?
And you know what? What are we talking about? Ring night. What you did could have ruined that man into a degree He's a meme. I'm talking about young Jordan Poole, up and coming, I think, star Jason. Who cares about ring night? Guess what, people? Punishments, they're not good. They're bad. You're supposed to be without something. And I just can't believe the Warriors, just from a PR standpoint, would say, hey, Dre, take one for the team. We need to say we suspended you. They didn't. And I'm telling you this, Jason, and I think there's going to be a loud amount of boos come ring night for Draymond Green. And what seals it for me is the fact that he skated.
It's interesting to me that you say it's 5-1 there, because I remember hosting shows there. But I remember hosting shows there where, my God, I mean, if I brought up Barry Bonds, there were still people saying, well, he never tested positive for anything. Like, people that would still defend Barry to the hilt, that the same market where they've been able to deliver all these championships, and he's obviously been a part of that. He is that junkyard dog, like you say, does the dirty work, that doesn't necessarily show up in a box score. I'm surprised that it's such a large ratio that would be sort of anti-Draymond.
Well, Jason, I don't know why you are, because you got to understand the 2016 finals where he got suspended and, to me, cost the Warriors a chip. Okay, there is a file, and the antics that we see on an everyday basis here in the Bay Area about him barking. You know what I can't stand, and a lot of people, Jay, people don't like a bully. And I don't know why Joe Lacob, Bob Myers, who I love, Steve Kerr, I love, why they won't drop the hammer. But all that stuff that Kenny Smith was talking about, this happens, you don't see it. The public does not see it. So, again, I just can't believe he skated. So I hope we have another conversation. But if I had to bet right now, Mr. Page, and you said, what are we going to hear opening night at Chase? There's going to be some boos, man. He dropped this dude. That have you seen a punch like that in the boxing? That punch, I don't want to go on, Jay. That was ferocious.
Oh,
man.
I saw it. I listen. I think the whole story changed based on video. Without the video, this story doesn't wind up going the direction it's gone. There's no way.
Did it really change, Jay? Now you couldn't suspend him and say, "Oh, we're going to suspend you now," because the people saw it. My point is, what hurts, and that might be too strong of a word. What hurts me is, I'll compare it to Ray Rice. He was going to get 2 games, and it cost him his career. I'm not saying this was as heavy, but what did it really cost? And for the Warriors, and they said this in Draymond on that terrible presser he had last Saturday, I'm really mad that it got out. That's the last thing you should be saying out loud.
Well, that's the whole organization, though. But that's the whole organization. Well, the whole organization's got to take a hit on that, because everybody in the organization's been saying, we're going to go after. And that was the first reaction wasn't, oh, my God, this video looks terrible. It was, oh, my God, who leaked it? As if that's the problem. I mean, that's insane to me.
Well, you know what, Jay? That's a great point, but I'll give the Warriors this. They were consistent. So nothing changed. Like, they know they're going to take hits. It's happening now. But that's what they decided to do, and they rode with it. So I respect them from that vantage point. But, man, Jay, what does one have to do to get suspended in a Warrior uniform?
Yeah, it's true. But, look, if he's playing – I said this last week. I'll say it again. If he's playing for the Houston Rockets or the Oklahoma City Thunder or the Detroit Pistons, he's out of work right now.
You're one of the smartest men I've worked with, and I mean that. Let me ask you a quick question. Why didn't the league get involved?
It's a great question. I mean, if he punched somebody from another team, it would be the league that sanctions him.
Oh, right.
Just because he punched somebody on his own team, the league is hands off on it? I agree. I mean, bad behavior is unacceptable behavior is unacceptable behavior, no matter whether you're punching your own teammate or somebody from another team.
It's
crazy. I know. It's nuts. Talking with Daryl Guru Johnson, does a great job. 95.7 The Game midday host, along with our old buddy Matt Steinmetz over there. Let me ask you about the Niners here, because I have had a total evolution on this team in the course of 6 weeks, and you'll kind of laugh because I've had the same evolution on the Cowboys that I've had on the 49ers. I think either of these teams could win a Super Bowl this year. And people will think I'm nuts when I say it because Jimmy Garoppolo's come up short a couple of times in his quest for a Super Bowl, won a long pass that he basically missed that would have won them a Super Bowl, and then last year coming up a game short. But I look at defense in this league, and it's so down around the league as a whole. Yeah, there's a lot of great offensive teams that can get up and down the field, but can you get stops when it matters? And I think both the 49ers and Cowboys could score enough points that with those defenses, they could not just go deep, but actually, do something really special this year. I know it's crazy to think that way when we consider where Garoppolo was, just 8 weeks ago versus where he is now. But am I crazy to think the 49ers could have that sort of season?
Not at all, Jason. And I feel like you're stealing my takes. I'm running around the base saying the same thing, my friend. I mean, it's real. Isn't it refreshing where the rules are so geared up for the offense in the NFL, it's a joke that you get two teams like this, Dallas and the Niners, and they just suffocate defenses. And I'm with you. Cooper Rush has showed the Dallas Cowboys, hey, guess what? Just take care of the ball. Brad Johnson, Trent Dilfer, they did it. And Dallas has got a great front seven, just like the Niners. And, Jay, I'm with you. But I'm going to say this about Jimmy Garoppolo. I never understood why Kyle Shanahan went quarterback shopping at the juncture he did. We know Jimmy with his limitations and his imperfections, but he was good enough to get you to a Super Bowl. Kyle Shanahan, to me, I called him the boy genius, Jason, but when his situational play calling has to take the Niners to the promised land, there's a disconnect. The Honey Badger said in the Super Bowl real quick in 19, he wanted to send Kyle Shanahan a gift basket because they quit running the ball. So that meant they were passing because the Chiefs couldn't stop them. Last year, against the Rams, NFC Championship game, you got a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter, and you don't know what to do on 4th and 1. That scares me about Kyle, but what scares me is you went and got an unknown in Trey Lance who is not ready. I'm not Ron Jaworski. I watch him, Jason. I'm out. And he treated him like a fullback. It was embarrassing, and they're lucky. Their ass is lucky that they were able to retain Jimmy. But with that said, why do you think it's crazy for a team that went to the bowl in 19, should have been in there last year, gets their veteran quarterback back, got a better defense? I expect them there. Them in Dallas right now, Jay. I mean it.
Yeah.
You're spot on.
Nah, and look, I think the Dallas thing, and I think they've sort of found themselves while Dak was out. The best thing that ever happened to them was Prescott getting hurt because they all of a sudden discovered their identity is their defense.
Yeah, and running the ball,
Yes.
Jay. And running the ball, no doubt.
Just play mistake-free football if you're Cooper Rush, and you could go 4-0 as the starter for the team. I'll be interested to see what happens, though, if Dak gets off to a shaky start when he does return in a couple of weeks. Listen, Daryl Guru Johnson, catch him on 95.7 The Game in the Bay Area with Matt Steinmetz. They do a great job Monday through Friday and middays. My man, it was good to catch up with you. Don't be a stranger, all right?
No doubt, Jay. You're one of the best. We'll talk soon, man.
Love that guy. Daryl Guru Johnson joining us on the program tonight. Love that dude. Let me tell you something. Anybody who knows anything about me in radio, I've been a solo act my entire career. The entire 20 years that I've been doing this. Never wanted to work with anybody, ever. And I say this as somebody who recently, started my own media company a year ago, sort of, doing my own thing and sort of, launching my own vision. If Daryl Guru Johnson called me tomorrow and said, let's host a show together, I would do it. That's how good he is. I mean that. He's just, I love working with him. Always appreciate him stopping by the show for a few minutes. 1-800-224-2004. We will update you on the Thursday night football game. Don't worry. There weren't any more points in the last few minutes. We'll come back and get to that as we continue. The Cash In. I'm Jason Page at SportsMap Radio. Oh, I love Guru. He's just course the Redskins would miss the field goal attempt to give the Bears. The Bears got every shot to win this game. They're undefeated at home, by the way, this year. They're 2-0. They're 2-3, but they're 2-0 at home. And they've had every chance here. You know what? I'm rooting for them to get down there and get a score. It'd be pretty cool. It's just a brutally bad game, but at least it could have a really exciting finish to it if Justin Fields could do something here. And then the problem is this. I mean, not that they have anybody backing up Justin Fields that could lead them to make a quarterback change. I think it's Trevor Siemian, if I'm not mistaken, that's backing up Justin Fields. You're not putting him in. We already know what he is. So you have Justin Fields out there, and essentially you're hoping that he goes and gets you a win, but then you're basically married to him for the rest of the year. I mean, you're already 6 games in. If they win tonight, as crazy as this sounds, the Bears will be 3-3. That's only a half game behind the Packers. You know what I mean? It's crazy, and you sort of take this league now and break it up into thirds. 6 weeks, and through the first third of the season, they're still very much in the conversation for a postseason spot at 3-3. It's nuts. This league is just bonkers. We'll let you know what happens after we go away for the top of the hour. I got some more to say about Draymond Green. We'll do that coming up after the top of the hour. The nightmare that is the managerial skills of Scott Servais and the Mariners, too. Don't go anywhere. I'm Jason Page. It's the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. Thanks, man. Definitely Guru, and definitely the first segment where I talk about the NFL stuff. Yeah. Just make sure to cut it where we aren't talking about the game. And I'll probably have one more segment to throw in. It's just, I mean, no matter what this league does, you still wind up with having something to talk about. What a wild finish between the Bears and Washington Commanders. Justin Fields had his opportunity. 4 plays from inside the 5, and of course the Bears couldn't score. Commanders win 12-7. So Washington improves to 2-4 on the year. The Bears drop a heartbreaker. It drops them to 2-4 and probably begins the downhill slide for them that carries them into the NFL abyss, which may not be a bad thing. Because I think in their heart of hearts, they know that this is not a quarterback that can win in this league. And maybe tonight finally convinces them of that. But if it doesn't, they'll get the Patriots, Cowboys, Dolphins, Lions over the next 4 games to help them figure that out. But I think they have to know at this point. The Bears organization has to know at this point that Justin Fields is not the guy for this job. And I get that they don't have a ton of great receivers around him. I appreciate the fact that he has not been put in the best possible position to succeed. And stuff like that drives me nuts. Because, you know, some guys come into this league and are surrounded by tons of talent and have room to grow and get better. And some guys wind up like Justin Fields, who, you know what, maybe in his mind he thinks he could be an NFL quarterback. And it's got to be frustrating. But the results speak for themselves now. I mean, missing receivers, open throws, 5 plays inside the 5 against the Commanders. You can't get in to win the game. That's it for the Bears season. We'll come back, talk about Draymond Green, this game. We'll have post-game reaction as well. It's the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. Oh, that last play was just crazy. Yeah. Yeah, it's just, you know, they got to know. I mean, but what do you do as an organization, you know? No. But at the same time, you know, they go get another quarterback this year. Let's assume they're in a position to. You're bringing him in, and unless you upgrade the talent around him, it's not going to matter who you go and draft. It's going to be, you know, Bryce Young's going to be the first quarterback to go. Maybe C.J. Stroud. Will Levis. Oh, you got to talk about that. I didn't know that. No. Who puts mayonnaise in their coffee? Oh, no, we got to save that. We got to talk about that. You gotta, no, hold it. Hold the topic. We'll talk about this. Crazy finish. Good to have you with us in this hour of the show. Say hello to our friends listening on 97.1 The Freak. You get us for the last 2 hours of our show weeknights. Yeah, it's an interesting question. Before I get into a thought or two on this Draymond Green situation, which we talked about a little bit in the last hour with Daryl Guru Johnson from 95.7 The Game. If you missed that interview, we'll have it for you at the end of the final hour of the show. But, let's just say this is, this is the beginning of the end for Justin Fields as the starting quarterback. And they'll say all the right things because, let's face it, they have Trevor Siemian and not much left to really talk about as far as this season is concerned for the Bears. So you start looking ahead and you start trying to figure out, all right, who's in the mix as it relates to the top overall pick in the draft? Obviously, the Houston Texans will be a team with a shot at the number one pick. Pittsburgh will be in the mix. They're really bad. I think the Raiders, despite having just one win, are going to play better at some point this year and do enough to get themselves out of a position where they can get one of these, three quarterbacks that are essentially slated to go in the top 5 of the draft. Carolina's going to be in a position probably. I think Detroit will win a few more games. I do think Chicago's going to be in a position though to get one of these top quarterbacks potentially. And when you start to look at the guys that are out there, yeah, it's great the idea that a C.J. Stroud, who I've watched a couple times this year and I really like, or a Bryce Young, or Will Levis. I mean, any of these guys that are out there, it's nice to think of them as being the potential future backbone of your franchise. But if you're the Bears and you get one of these guys, well, the big problem is, again, are you surrounding them with enough talent that they actually have a shot to succeed? And I don't know the answer to that. You've got to make a commitment to surrounding your guys with talent. The Jets went out. Say what you want about Zach Wilson. The Jets went out and they upgraded their offense during the offseason. I mean, my God, I think they just hung up 30 on the Dolphins, if I'm not mistaken. So you know how good, if you've got one of these good young quarterbacks, you have got to go out there and make the effort. If you're going to invest one of these top 3 picks in a Stroud, Young, or Levis, you've got to give them an opportunity with some talent around them and some veteran receivers that could sort of nurture them a bit. I don't care how good these guys are at the collegiate level. You come into the end, you got to make sure they're not getting hit every other play. That's the other thing for Justin Fields. He's getting hit every time he drops back. And some of that might be decision-making and holding on to the football or whatever, but they haven't had a good offensive line to protect him. When you're a kid coming into this league and all you've done is experience victory, victory, victory your entire life, middle school, high school, the prep ranks, college, all you've done is experience winning. And think about it. That's what Justin Fields did. And then you get to the NFL and you're going to a roster. You go from being on a team that's one of the best in the nation to one of the worst. And this happens for a lot of quarterbacks, obviously, coming out of college, because rarely are you the guy that can wait 2 or 3 years and sit behind a good starter like Aaron Rodgers did with Brett Favre. And there's been other situations around the league where guys have had a chance to sort of soak it in for a year and then become a starter. That's less the trend these days because of the fact that there's a win now mentality around sports. There is no waiting. There's no time to nurture and grow. You got to get that experience on the job. But to go from being, and it's a, for lack of a better word, it's a mind you know what for these guys. Word starts with F, rhymes with tuck. It's like I'm playing charades. 2 words, sounds like. But, I mean, that's what it is for these guys coming into the league. Sometimes you're talking about a 20-year-old. Think about I don't care if you want to say, oh, they're professional athletes, they've played sports their whole life. Think about being 20 years old. You're not even fully developed mentally yet. You think you are? You're not. Now you're playing for an NFL team. You're starting. You're playing every Sunday. You've got guys coming at you from all directions. Nobody can protect you. You've got no talent around you, and you're supposed to be the savior. It's almost impossible to win in that situation. Especially if you're some of these guys coming out, without 4 years of school and just playing a couple of years in college. It's a difficult decision. It's a difficult situation for these guys to be in. Some of them thrive in it, some of them don't. Justin Fields is one of those guys that's just not getting it done. Fairly or unfairly targeting him or criticizing him, it just is what it is. But I don't know how much better the situation gets in Chicago, whether you get Stroud, Young, or Levis, if the reality is you don't have the talent around them. And the organization is setting you up to fail. I mean, my God, if you're one of those 3 quarterbacks and you get drafted by the Bears and you watch what a dumpster fire that organization's been in recent years, maybe you say, trade me. I'm not coming to play for you. Maybe you pull an Eli Manning and say, I'm not playing for you, San Diego. Ditch the pick. Athletes, I'm not saying it's a popular stance to take or a great thing for an athlete to do because you get painted in a certain light, but my God, at all costs, do you want to play for the Bears? The phone number is 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. You can tweet at the show if you feel so inclined at the back page. Hit me up on Twitter at the back page if you're wanting to talk to us. I mean, Stroud, Young, and Levis are obviously, most mock drafts I look at have them going 1, 2, 3. Certainly all 3 of them in the top 5. But if the Bears are in a position and they're in the top 3, they have got to get one of those guys. And quite honestly, even if they're not in the top 5, they've got to figure out a way to get to the top 5 to get one of those guys. Unless it's Levis, because Ryan McDonald, our producer engineer working the show for us in Houston, says he's got a disgusting habit. Mayonnaise in his coffee? I've heard weird things. I've heard weird things of people doing stuff with mayonnaise. And before anybody goes, oh my God, what's he mean? No, like when I went to Sweden for the first time and I ordered French fries from a McDonald's, they were like, oh, would you like some mayonnaise for that? And I was like, what? And they were like, well, in Sweden, we use mayonnaise. And I'm like, what? I wouldn't have known that. And now I do. I eat French fries and tater tots and things like that with mayonnaise. It's amazing. I never knew until I went to Sweden when I was a senior in high school. But wait a second. You just glossed over the headline of what you just said. You hosted an exchange student? Your parents just invited some stranger into the house to come and live with you guys? Yes. It absolutely does. Yep, absolutely. The Swedish foreign exchange student who comes into the house and lops off half of the family. Absolutely. Yep. And the only kid who survives is the 9-year-old named Brian. Oh my God, that's crazy. That's funny. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. Hit me up on Twitter as well at the back page. If you've ever hosted a foreign exchange student, I want to know. I don't think if I ever brought that idea up to my parents when I was like in high school, hey, they would have laughed me out the door. No chance. In this day and age, now again, you said it was a long time ago, and we lived in a different world. Now, too many. I'm sorry. There's too many mentally unstable people in the world. You don't know what you're getting. How well are they screened? I wake up in the middle of the night and the person's sitting there looking at their reflection in like a really sharp steak knife. And I'd be like, what do you do with this? I don't know what you do with this. No. Yes, absolutely. Listen, dude, after my years of watching The Walking Dead, I'm that guy that's like totally prepared for the zombie apocalypse. Like I've watched too many video games that my partner plays, and I'm ready for like nuclear fallout. I'm set for every worst case scenario imaginable. I am that guy. I'll be hosting radio shows from my backyard bunker, baby. Count on it. Be like Art Bell. Remember Art Bell used to do that show overnights? Coast to coast. He'd do the show from like a hidden underground bunker. Yes. I would be that dude. I'd be the guy hosting from a bunker, figuring out a way. All right. I didn't get to my point on Draymond Green. I'm a bad host. I'll come back and get to that in a couple of minutes. I'm just still trying to imagine, Olga coming to stay with Brian at the house with his family. Like peering in on you in the middle of the night. You wake up, one eye open, and you see her just standing there. We'll come back. More to do. The Cash In. I'm Jason Page at SportsMap Radio. Dude, you surfed over the headline of that story. That was great how you were just like, yeah, we had a foreign exchange student come stay with us. And I'm just sitting here. The rest of what you said was like, nope. No, I didn't hear anything else. I was already there. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. How old are you? How old are you? Oh, you're just a little younger than me. Not much. No. My senior year of high school, which was the year I started in broadcasting, I was the play-by-play voice for our high school hockey team on our local high school TV station. And they went to Finland and Sweden for 2 weeks. We're one of the best programs in Connecticut. And we went to Finland and Sweden for a 2-week trip. And as the play-by-play voice, I actually got to go. And yeah, it was awesome. It was a really cool trip. I do have a story, but it's one No mayonnaise dipping for me tonight. Although I did have some Chipotle mayo on the Jersey Mike's sub I have been inhaling during breaks throughout the show tonight. They have Jersey Mike's down there in Houston, Brian? All right, some of these chains don't have, restaurants or locations in certain places. Like they just put a Chick-fil-A, which, is all over the country. They're just putting the first Chick-fil-A in the greater Palm Springs area. Yes. Yep. They just put one. It's about 15 minutes from where we are in Palm Springs. It's just outside Palm Springs. They just put a Chick-fil-A in. And other than that, there's like none anywhere. Yeah. They just put a cane. Yeah. Do they have like Raising Cane's where you are? Yeah, see? That just came to this area for the first time. Uh-huh. That's what I mean. See? Something like that. Well, the thing is, in the case of Chick-fil-A, it's political considerations. And obviously there's some things that, and this is a very liberal, this immediate area I live in is extremely liberal. So they kind of shunned the idea of a Chick-fil-A. So Chick-fil-A went as far away in the greater Palm Springs area as it could without drawing too much attention to itself. But they were like, we're getting there. And they did. So there's a Chick-fil-A here. And I've had Chick-fil-A and it's amazing. Not going to, listen, political stuff aside, their stuff is good. So I can't complain. I just have other people pay for it. 800-224-2004, 800-224-2004, and on Twitter, at the back page if you want to get involved in the show. Where it could go wrong for the Lakers, and it may be in an area that nobody's really talking about because it's one of those things that doesn't really show up in a box score. And hey, here's a shocker for you. Zion Williamson got hurt. Talk about that coming up as well. I talked enough about the Draymond stuff in the first hour of the show. I mean, here's the bottom line, because I don't want to spend too much time on it now, because we spend too much time talking about foreign exchange students from Sweden staying in like the same bedroom with 9-year-old boys. So, I mean, the Draymond thing is what it is. And I kind of talked about a little bit with Daryl Guru Johnson in the first hour, the fact that according to published reports, that the reason the Warriors did not want to suspend Draymond Green was they didn't want him to miss out on ring night. And if that's the reason you're not sanctioning this guy after he did what he did, then you're lost as an organization in terms of moral compass and moral focus and all that stuff. And look, maybe you still win a title and all of that, but you have to cut the BS when it's acting like your organization is holier than thou, because it isn't. So that's as much as I need to say about that. Because if I don't talk about the fact that Scott Servais has now essentially lost 2 games for his team, that the Mariners could be up 2-0 going back to Seattle for Game 3 on Saturday, if not for Scott Servais, listen, he should have to walk back to Seattle right now. He should not be allowed on the team plane, not the bus. They should have put his stuff out on the sidewalk of the hotel and said, find your own way back. Because he has single-handedly sunken this team. You might think it's Yordan Alvarez that has sunk this team. But did anybody watch the final, month of the Major League Baseball season? Every time Aaron Judge came to the plate, basically, he got one pitch to hit if he was lucky, and the rest were outside the strike zone or nibbling around the edges. He was not given a shot to hit home run number 60, then 61, and eventually 62. Up until the last series of the season when Texas finally said, we're going to challenge you, nobody threw a strike to Aaron Judge over the final 15, 20 games of the season. Okay, so here's Yordan Alvarez, arguably one of the best hitters in all of baseball. You saw what he did last postseason. Let me think about it. I'm not going to pitch to this guy. I'm going to make somebody else beat me. Alex Bregman, whoever. And I get it. Alex Bregman's a good hitter. Had a big base knock late in this game. You cannot let Yordan Alvarez beat you not just once, but beat you twice.
And that one's hit well deep into left field. And Alvarez has done it again. Oh, my goodness. He has put the Astros in front. A 2-run home run makes it 3-2 Houston.
I don't care if Cy Young is on the mound in the bottom of the 6th inning with a 2-1 lead. I don't care if it's Lefty Grove, Walter Johnson, Roger Clemens, Andy Pettit. I don't care who it is. I'm not pitching to Yordan Alvarez after he just burned you in the 9th inning a couple of days earlier. I don't care if it's Luis Castillo, and I love Luis Castillo. I'm the manager. I'm walking out there. I'm putting up 4. He's going to first. Anybody's beating us but you. And instead now he's done it twice in this series. First he got cute and brought in Robbie Ray. Oh, lefty on lefty. Yeah, Alvarez hits 320-something against lefties. Then he leaves Castillo in and says, okay, and I don't have a problem with leaving Castillo in. He had only thrown like 70-something pitches. But then says, yeah, go ahead and pitch to him. Oh, my God. I know they won't fire him because they made the playoffs. And it's the first time in 21 years that the Mariners are going to have home playoff baseball in Seattle at T-Mobile Field. Will be rocking, and you'll be going home in a couple of days when you shouldn't have been. And when you're talking about margins of error in the baseball postseason, I have my fingers up in a very small space in between my thumb and index finger. The space is that small. The margin of error, that tiny. And I say it all the time. As a manager, the game manages itself throughout much of the regular season and even a lot of the postseason. You have very few decisions to make as a manager in baseball. You cannot screw up twice in a row if you're Scott Servais. Not made for the big time. That's it. Case closed. 1 time, anomaly. 2 times is a trend. He cost that team 2 games. Well, if Robbie Ray makes a better pitch, it shouldn't have come to that. Hold up 4. That's it. Well, if Luis Castillo's an ace, it makes it 4. That's it. And instead, now you're down 2-0. Great, you'll get a home game at T-Mobile Field. I feel bad for that team. Because they've basically played the Astros not even just to a draw. They've led through more innings of that series, I would probably argue, over the first 2 games than the Astros have. And they just... And I get it. Players win, managers lose. You know, some blame's got to go on Robbie Ray. Some of it's got to go on Luis Castillo. But your manager's got to put you in positions to win. That's the only job he has, and he failed miserably to do that in both of these games. And there's got to be repercussions for that as an organization. You have to, as an organization, be second-guessing whether this guy is the guy to lead you. I damn well guarantee you the guys in that locker room are. Just awful. I feel for you, Mariner fans. Where it could go wrong for the Lakers. Who's managing the egos? I'll get to it next. I'm Jason Page. It's the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. Awful. No, honestly, I want them to beat the Astros. I want them to beat the best team. Honestly, I mean, I picked the Mariners to win the series because I thought they were the hot team coming into the playoffs. And quite honestly, if Cervais doesn't mismanage this series, they're up 2-0 right now, and the series is over, basically. So I don't feel bad about my pick at all, because anybody who's watched knows that Scott Cervais lost those 2 games. No, I want to beat the Astros, trust me. I can't stand the Astros. Not happening. Nope. Creighton and I already got a bet on it. Yeah. I just hope it's a good series, though, too. You know, I want to see them because they're the 2 best teams in the league, you know, as far as the AL is concerned. So again, as a Yankee fan, do I want to see the Yankees win? Yes, but I'm in the story business, and I just want to see like a real slugfest for 7 games, and how it goes, you know. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, 100% yes. And by the way, we're now putting titles on the podcast because it's kind of silly to just have like the date of the show or whatever and best of. The guy who runs digital told me he wants a title. I'll give you a title. I'll give you a title and brief description I'll text it to, not text to you, I'll email it to you. All right. $20 minutes till the top of the hour. Cash in rolls on. This might have been the worst Thursday night football live betting show we've had so far. Again, what are you going to talk about? How little points are being scored? We could have done a show about like how many first downs there would be in the game. Has Al Michaels retired yet? Can we get a headline on that? No? Any luck? Because if I were Al Michaels, I sure as hell would have retired. Ugh, so bad. Got to change my TV to something else since I don't need any of that NFL post-game show. I know they're not going to talk about Daniel Snyder at all. I'm telling you, man. I got some things I want to get into in this segment on the Lakers and Zion, but I'm wondering which NFL owners are like looking for hitmen right now to take out Daniel Snyder. Seriously. All right, half joking. Maybe 3/4 joking. How many NFL owners right now are just trying to figure out ways to silence Daniel Snyder at all costs? Because he's got to have dirt on some of them. I don't know if he's got a dossier written up on every single owner from the Maras to the, Mark Davises of the world and the Ford family. And I don't know if he's got something on everybody. Shad Khan. I don't know if he's got something on everybody, but he's got to have some dirt that has to terrify some of these owners around the league, just in terms of if he unleashes it, will they be forced to sell? Could this be a domino effect? They force Daniel Snyder to sell, and then he just unleashes this torrent of information that basically sinks everybody else that he's ever felt like trying to get rid of. And again, keep in mind, he's going to live happily ever after regardless. I think he lives in like a $44 million estate somewhere in Virginia. They force him to sell. He ain't going to be collecting food stamps, I promise you. I just wonder how many guys around the league are just sitting there going, oh my God, don't make him sell the team. Please don't make him sell the team. But they don't want to say, please don't make him sell the team, because then they look like they're guilty of something that he might know about. All right. Where could it go wrong for the Lakers? A lot of people are talking about the Lakers in the sense of, well, is Russell Westbrook going to be better than he was last year? Well, what does Patrick Beverley bring to the table? Can Anthony Davis stay healthy? What's LeBron's role at this stage of his career? What kind of player is he still capable of being? All of those things are topics that people get into, and the on-the-court aspect. But I think there's one element to the Lakers that I don't think is getting enough discussion, and I think after last night it should. As much as Patrick Beverley will say, Russell Westbrook and I are cool. When Patrick Beverley in that game, the Lakers preseason game last night, tried to call a team huddle before some free throws were shot, and Russell Westbrook just basically said, you know what, I'm good. I'm going to stand here on the lane and wait for the free throw to be shot. You guys could hang out over there. I'm not coming. And I'm not saying that one incident could be extrapolated into massive cohesion issues for the Lakers. I'm not saying that at all. But you're talking about 3 or 4 really large egos inside that Laker locker room and on the court. And remember something. It's not like football where you got, 50 guys in a locker room. It's not like, it's not like baseball where you've got, 20-some, almost 30 guys in a locker room. Or hockey where you've got, 20 guys in a locker room. It's not like that. Basketball locker rooms are very tight-knit, small quarters. I've been inside NBA locker rooms. It's not, they're not massive spaces. So where it could go wrong for the Lakers is something that has nothing to do with what's on the floor, and that's egos. And as much as some people might think Darvin Ham is ready to be an NBA head coach at the age of 49 and having been an assistant around the league, and he gets this opportunity with the Lakers, the reality is Darvin Ham is 49 years old. He's only been an assistant in this league, and there's a lot of egos on this roster, and essentially a player coach in LeBron, who is like a part coach, part player on the team. Full-time player, part-time coach. And I don't say this to put the downs on Darvin Ham before he ever coaches an NBA regular season game, but he's not Phil Jackson. He's not Greg Popovich. He's not Steve Kerr. He's not a guy that's had to manage these types of personalities as the leading man in an organization. Now, you can make the argument that when Phil Jackson came to the Bulls, well, he had to manage some egos. But when he came to the Bulls, it was basically Michael and Scotty. The guys that came in later didn't come until later. Greg Popovich, when he started with the Spurs, and even those guys, that team was an anomaly, even though it had a big group of stars. They didn't behave with the egos and all the garbage that comes sometimes with these mega groups that lead NBA teams. And Steve Kerr basically came in after Mark Jackson failed. Yeah, I said it. After Mark Jackson failed in his role leading this young group of warriors that would turn out to be this collection of stars. Even when Steve Kerr got there, that group wasn't made up of a bunch of stars. They were potential future stars. They were a young group of guys that grew into the group that he now coaches. It's not easy managing those types of personalities, along with the everyday decisions that have to be made about who's getting minutes. All right, who's getting less minutes? Who's getting more minutes? All right, Russell Westbrook isn't playing well. Who's going to get more minutes? Where do we fit in Kendrick Nunn? All these different things that the Lakers are going to have to go through this year. Darvin Ham has never had to deal with anything like this, not to mention the fact that it's then one of the biggest sports franchises in the world. The Lakers are known worldwide. Worldwide? I mean, they are. You like how I slipped in that little wrestling reference there, Brian? I think you'd appreciate that. You're a bit of a wrestling geek. But Darvin Ham, 49 years old, only ever been an assistant. Now he's got to go and, manage the Lakers version of a mega team with Beverly, Westbrook, Davis, and James. Good luck. I hope he does a great job. I like to see good young coaches. I'm tired of seeing the same retreads that get trotted around this league. League needs good new young blood. That's why the Ime Udoka thing was so disappointing. Because who knows, after all is said and done with him in Boston, and he sits out a year, and then maybe they decide to fire him. I mean, who knows what's left of his career after the tatters he's left it in by his own bad decisions. He was supposed to be one of those next new up-and-coming coaches. All right, from the Lakers to Zion, and look, I'm a huge believer in the fact that the Pelicans are going to be a real threat in the West. I don't think they're getting nearly enough love. I think they're 43.5 for their under-over win total. Caesars Sportsbook had them at 43.5. If Zion is healthy, I'm banging the over on that all day. But just as you start to think, well, look at how good this team could be, Zion Williamson gets hurt in a preseason game. That didn't take long, did it? Driving to the basket, last night's game, tweaked his left ankle. I mean, he rolled it. I'm shocked that he stayed in the game. I've seen regular season NBA games when a guy rolls his ankle the way Zion did last night, and they're out. I mean, it's crazy to me. And he kept playing in that game, which if I'm the Pelicans organization, the second he rolls that ankle, shoot your free throws if you got fouled, whatever, and bye-bye. You're sitting out the rest of the preseason. You're not going near the court. You got to put him in bubble wrap, for crying out loud, if you need to. Twitter already did its thing, Williamson said jokingly. They're the doctors, apparently. He's lucky he avoided it being more serious. They're saying it's just a twist of the ankle. Planted his left foot trying to get into the lane around Dwayne Dedman. Played another 3 minutes, and then he was done. Why is he even playing 3 more minutes on that ankle? What are you thinking? 11 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists. 5 of 6 from the free throw line. I got to be honest, too. He looks a lot more svelte this year than he has in the other, 17 games he's played in the league. It was one of those things where it happened and I popped back up like, yeah, I'm straight, Williamson said. Played a few minutes after that. It felt fine. Then they sent me to the back just to double check. We wanted to look at it, and a doc looked at it, and he just said a little day-to-day soreness. But outside of that, I personally feel fine. Wasn't bad news from the docs. So one more preseason game for Zion and the Pelicans. Friday against the Hawks. And they're planning to play their projected starting lineup. God, please don't play him long. I don't have any vested interest in the Pelicans. I don't think I've even ever stepped foot in the state of Louisiana. I don't have any money on them preseason, nothing. I just want to see Zion for 70 to 75 games this year. Is that too much to ask? I'd ask for 70. Give me 70 games with him, Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum. Let's find out how good this team could be, because I think they can make a lot of noise and a lot of teams miserable in the West. And last night I heard Stanford Steve on with Scott Van Pelt, which is, by the way, the best late-night TV sports show around. I mean, it's not even close. And Stanford Steve said there's no way I can pick the over on the Pelicans because I don't know if Zion's going to play. I got to believe he's going to be out there for 70 games. Even if he's out there for 65, that's more than, that's 65 more than he was last year, and the team still made the playoffs. I think they could win 43.5 if he plays 65 games, meaning they would win 54. The West is going to be so much fun to watch every night. I mean, every matchup within the Western Conference throughout the regular season is going to be a good game. And I get it. NBA regular season basketball isn't the same as the postseason, but I don't think you can take many nights off in the NBA, especially in the West. And I know people think the top of the East is better than the top of the West and all this stuff. Still, as a whole, I'll take the Western Conference over the Eastern Conference in terms of the teams. And, I mean, look, last year I kind of fretted from getting the NBA, they have the NBA TV package where you can watch every game, except the ones that are, blacked out in your area, which means I can't watch the Lakers or Clippers where I am because I'm considered in the LA market. But last year I decided not to get the package. And this year I think I'm going to get it just because I want to watch these teams play in the West and just beat the stuffing out of each other every night. Some really high-profile fun matches to get into, some fun games to get into. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. Don't worry, I love the Mavericks. Our friends listening in Dallas saying he ain't giving any love to our Mavericks. I love Luka. Not crazy about the fact they lost Jalen Brunson, though. Let him get away to the Knicks. But they are my Knicks, so thank you. We appreciate that. We'll come back, wrap up this hour of the Cash In. I'm Jason Page. Thanks for listening to SportsMap Radio. Mm-hmm. Yeah, start it. We could start it later in. I'm cool with that. Just tell me where we start it on whatever. Just give me the cue and I'll write up a question to start it with and just throw to it. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Matter of fact, what you can do for the podcast is use the toss that I do you could use the toss that I do in the replay. You know what I mean? That'll be easier for you. All right, getting set to put the wraps on hour number 2. 800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. Tweet at the show, at the back page. And don't forget, if you haven't done so yet, sign up with jockmkt.com. That's right. Our first sponsors of the Cash In with Jason Page. jockmkt.com, or download the Jock MKT app. It's fantasy sports, but way better. Think of it like, instead of the stock market, the jock market, which is why it's called Jock MKT. You can go in and put bids on players. They're called IPOs, just like stocks. And you can go get guys before a slate of games, just one game, buy one share, buy 20 shares. And if your player does really well, you win, and you can win big. Go and check it out, jockmkt.com. Stay in the game, jockmkt. Download the app and claim your 100% deposit bonus right now by using the promo code CASHIN, CASHIN. Get your 100% deposit bonus up to $100 right now by using the promo code CASHIN, CASHIN. jockmkt.com, or download the Jock MKT app. Stay in the game. Another hour of the Cash In is right around the corner. Stay with us. We got a lot to do on SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. Actually, could you? Do you mind? Yeah, because I actually haven't sent them one yet. And if you like fantasy sports, go and use my promo code and sign up for it. Yeah, if you put in $20, you get like a 20% bonus. But make sure you use my promo code CASHIN. Yeah, it's really cool. Yes. Or you just hang on to it, and if your player winds up being the best, you win X number of dollars for however many shares you have. So if if you have a player who finishes in first for the Yankees-Indians game tomorrow, Yankees-Guardians game tomorrow, if you have Aaron Judge and he winds up with the most fantasy points, you win $25 for every share of Aaron Judge you have. And if you get him at $5 a share, $6 a share, all of a sudden you're cashing a nice little check at the end. My partner and I started playing with it, and he's not even into sports, and he's just having so much fun with it. Yeah, it's really cool. But if you do it, sign up, use my promo code CASHIN, and if you deposit anywhere from $20 to $100, you get 100% of that to play with. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, check it out. Shoot. All right, so you're a wrestling guy. What'd you think of the Bray Wyatt thing? Yeah, I think everybody did. Yeah, I agree. Curious to know who the rest of his crew is, though. Yeah, I remember Bo Dallas. Huh. Yeah, yeah. Opening baseball cards during the break. No. Ooh, I just got a cool Otani card. Cool Otani card. Nice insert. Pitching. Final hour of a Thursday/Friday edition of the show. Good to have you along for the ride. Alongside producer, engineer extraordinaire Ryan McDonald, who's thankfully, as we learned tonight, not permanently mentally scarred from having some Swedish foreign exchange student staying with him when he was just a wee lad. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Isn't that what Kelly Clarkson once said? Yeah. Is it a bad thing that I'm opening baseball cards as we start this? I'm literally thumbing through baseball cards while talking on the air. Really? Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, you know what? It's a different landscape than the one we used to work in. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. Tweet at the show, at the back page if you want to, on Twitter, at the back page. Hit me up. What are any thoughts you may have? For anybody who's asking, I'm opening packs of Topps Fire. Got a blaster. I hadn't opened up any of this product this year, so I just decided to open a few packs while I was in the middle of the break. And now, the problem with me and cards is once I start, I can't stop. I don't know. I can't stop in the middle of a box. Like, I feel that'd be... Yes. Once you pop, you can't stop. Exactly. It's very good. This hour of the show, though, there will be an hour of the show, I promise. We'll hear from Daryl Guru Johnson, my conversation with him in the first hour of the show, talking about the Golden State Warriors, the mess that is the Draymond Green situation, and then get into some thoughts on the NFL as well, especially the Cowboys and 49ers, who I am both very high on right now. We'll see what happens. It sounds like it's going to be Cooper Rush this week for the Cowboys, and Dak Prescott's close to getting back. So no matter what happens this week, it sounds like we'll have Dak back in the mix soon enough. Got to talk about Phil Mickelson. Yeah, he's a fraud. We'll get to that coming up. I want to recap Thursday Night Football, but it might take me all of about 5 seconds. We're back with more of the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. Oh, let's see, what do I got here? Carlos Correa, Harper. How funny. You asked before, what did I get for Ohtani? The pitching, the crazy pitching insert that I just got, and now I just got the hitting one. Yeah, that's funny. That's all right. Saying Correa is going to opt for free agency. I wonder where he goes. Yeah. Oh man, you want to talk about an organization that played it right. I mean, he walks, and Pena's been so good. Of course, but no. Nope. I got an Aaron Nola numbered card. Yeah. Numbered to 299. I think I love Pena, though. I got a bunch of his very first Bowman cards that I've just held on to and get them graded because the value on them is going to be pretty sweet. Yeah, I still probably would give it to Bobby Witt. Bobby Witt Jr. was almost as good as Julio was. I mean, Bobby Witt Jr. had a really good year on a bad team. Yeah. Yeah, the Pena is really good. I mean, Witt's really good. I hope he gets a shot with a good team. Yeah, I mean, really, it's true. Yeah. It's really true. One more pack. No autographs in this pack, in this box. Just a small blaster box, so it's only a few cards. Devers, Kalenic, Berger, Yadier, Molina insert. Who cares? Jonathan India, Springer, Syndergaard. That's it. Can open up a box that fast. Beautiful. We continue on this Thursday edition of the show. Friday if you're on the East Coast. Good to have you with us. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. Hit me up on Twitter at The Back Page. Again, hit me up on Twitter at The Back Page as we roll along through the program. Usually we do a bunch of stuff post-game on the Thursday night football game, but it's all kind of snuck by us, and haven't seen much in terms of the post-game reaction I'd love to know what the feeling is around. Here's the reality. You're in a situation right now, if you're the Bears, where you've got 2 wins, you've got 4 losses. The schedule in front of you is not kind, and you're kind of looking at a situation where you have to start analyzing, are we in it for wins, or are we in it for Justin Fields' development to find out if he can be anything better than what we've seen over 1 season and 6 weeks of this season? That's essentially where you're at if you're this organization, is trying to figure that out. And if the decision is, hey, I'm Matt Eberflus and I got to win games, and if that's the priority here, then you can't really stick with Justin Fields. You probably got to give Trevor Siemian an opportunity, which sounds crazy because we know what Trevor Siemian is at this stage of his career. But what else are you going to do if you're trying to win games? Now, if the idea is tank for one of the 3 draft picks that we were discussing earlier in the show, that being Levis, Young, or Stroud, it sounds like a law firm, but that's okay. But if you're talking about trying to get one of those 3 quarterbacks, well, then heck, leave Justin Fields in there, go, 4-13 and take your chances that you might be able to get one of the top 3 picks in the draft. Matt Eberflus met with the media after the game, after this Bears 12-7 loss, and I'm more than mildly intrigued to see what he had to say.
All right, good evening. Obviously disappointed with the loss, and then the things that stood out for us in a positive way was the defense. The defense played really well. We really good on third down. They were 0 of 6, I think, in the first half, and ended up being 2 of 11 for 18%, which is a positive there. So the defensive staff were really hard at that this week, and we were certainly pleased with that. I thought the run defense was good. Up until that last drive or the drive before, we gave up some runs, so I thought we were solid there. Pass defense was outstanding. I think we held the opponent to low passer rating and did a nice job of defending the pass. Had some good sacks. Had some third down sacks, which was good. And then really for offense, the offense I thought, did a really good job, with driving the football. We had a drive of 66 yards, and then we had the interception, that bounced off of the helmet there. Then we ended up going for it on the next 66-yard drive, and went for it on the 4th inches down there and couldn't plunge it in down there. And then right before coming out of halftime, we scored a touchdown, which was excellent. And then we went out the last 2 drives there. We ended up went for it on 4th down, didn't get it, and then our defense did an outstanding job of rising up there when we didn't get that 4th down, and then forcing a missed field goal. And then we drove it all the way down the length of the field to give ourselves a chance to win it at the end there, and then didn't punch it in there. So obviously, the storyline will be, hey, we got a nice drives for the offense, but you got to be able to punch it in the red zone and those types of things. But I told the guys I was proud of them, the way they fought, the way they battled during the course of the day. And again, it's all about execution. It comes down to 6 or 7 plays. And I told the guys, listen, we're right there. We're right there. You just got to keep believing in what we're doing, how we're doing it. And we're right there, and we're going to get over that hump right there. And they got some time to self-reflect right now. And I told them that they got a little mini bye here. Coaches will be in there doing self-scout, and they're going to be looking at their own performances, how they can get better coming back going into our week against New England Patriots. So I will open up to questions from there.
What do you need to do to be better in the red zone?
It comes down, you saw it, right? It comes down to execution. I thought we had some real good plays in there. We just got to, hit the guys when they're in the, when we had the play on, and hit the guys in the open, like for Griffin there. I thought that was an excellent play. We just got to execute as a group. We got to execute as a group better down there, and we'll get that done.
And when it comes to the pass that was bounced off the helmet,
yeah,
concern for Justin's mechanics, possibly.
No, I mean, sometimes your arm angle changes because he's trying to fit it in there. There's a lot of big bodies in there. So a lot of times you will change your arm angle, based on what window you see in front of you. So, you can't fault him on that. He was trying to fit it in there, and that's just what happened. And we got to do a good job when the ball goes up. Somebody's got to do a good job of knocking it down. Somebody that's in the vicinity there.
Matt Eberflus talking about the loss to the Commanders 12-7 tonight in Chicago. Here's the thing. You hear him talk about, some of the throws that Justin Fields makes, and he's talking about arm angles and trying to fit into windows. And a lot of people get knocked when they say, well, it's hard for a short quarterback to win in this league. And you'll often hear people say, well, it's not fair to go after somebody just because they're not tall enough. But it matters. When you've got some of these tall guys on the defensive line, your own offensive linemen that are trying to ward off those people on defense who are trying to get to the quarterback. And some quarterbacks can find those windows and avoid those arms better than others. And Justin Fields on this level, look, when you're playing in college and 5 games a year you're playing against, sisters of the poor and guys that have no shot of making the NFL. Remember, there's a zillion college football teams. How many guys make it into the NFL? Enough to fill 30 teams? I mean, that's it. So there's a lot of guys playing at the collegiate level that Justin Fields can shine against and then get to the NFL and just simply, again, that height discrepancy, that inability to find those windows and figure out sort of where to put the ball, that's really difficult. God, I hate being the guy that's going to say this because I know I'm going to get crap for it. Justin Fields is a great athlete. Maybe it's just quarterback that doesn't suit him. No, I could hear it now. Jason's saying a guy can't play quarterback and that he's not, physically, tall enough or this and that. And I could see it coming already, but the guy's QBR is 37.1. He's completing 55.7% of his passes. He's thrown for 3 touchdowns this year. And there's just certain things about him that you can't avoid. He's 6'3" in high heels. If he's 6'3", then I'm 5'11". And guess what? I'm not 5'11", even though I might say so when I tell people how tall I am. But I mean, the numbers speak for themselves by now. Justin Fields can't play the quarterback position in the NFL at a high enough level to be successful. Simple as that. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. And again, hit me up on Twitter at the back page. Again, on Twitter at the back page. And it'll be interesting to see, do they ride this out for the whole year and find out and at least definitively be able to say Justin Fields is not our quarterback of the future, and then our record is so bad we can go get one of the 3 big names that are going to be there in the draft? Or do they try to win games and bring in Trevor Siemian to try and see if they can win a few games? I mean, that's essentially the decision that this organization is going to have to make over the next several weeks. There's Desean Watson news to get to. You know what? I got a couple of minutes here because I wanted to talk about Phil Mickelson on the other side. Because Phil is back in the news. Do you know he's back on Twitter? I know. Another woman has filed a civil lawsuit against Desean Watson, alleging the Browns quarterback pressured her into oral sex during a massage session in 2020. It is now, get ready for it, the 26th known lawsuit filed against the Browns quarterback, accusing him of inappropriate sexual misconduct or sexual assault during massages. Wow. I can't, you know what? I was going to read the details of the lawsuit that was filed in Harris County in Texas. I just can't. There's a level of re-victimization that comes with some of this stuff. And I've shared this before in previous iterations of my show with various audiences. As somebody who has been a victim of sexual assault at a very young age, I'm aware of the trauma and re-traumatization of victims. And so it's something that I won't do on this show. If you want to read the details, you can go online and find them. There's a million places that will publish them and publish them over and over and over again, despite what it does to victims and people who have a PTSD of sorts from sexual assault that they've either encountered or suffered it, in their own lives. So I will not read the details of the case. If you want to see it, go online and find it yourself. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. Tweet at the show at the back page. Phil Mickelson is back in the news, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently, denial is something more than a river. That's next on the Cash In, SportsMap Radio. Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay, cool. Thank you. So I made the mistake of putting a bottle of Diet Coke in the freezer because it was fresh from the store. It didn't explode, but it froze in there enough that I had to let it defrost. But while it still had ice in it, I tried to open it, and then it exploded. Yeah. Okay, so the Guru segment starts with my question. So I will throw to my question. Got it. Or is that what you're saying, or do you want me to just say, okay, that's fine. No, I'm very comfortable doing that. That's fine. Yep, not a problem at all. Okay, perfect. Got it. Thank you. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Scott's a friend of mine. 100%. Call him on the phone. He's on the couch on a Sunday afternoon. That's exactly what he sounds like. You know who else is like that? Colin Coward. His radio voice is yes, same cadence. One day I picked up the phone, had a call from Colin. I was at a holiday party for 95.7 The Game. Phone rings, it's Colin. I say, "This is Jason," and I hear him on the other end. He literally went into a monologue like he was doing his show. Not, "Hi, how are you? What's going on?" Nothing. Just went into a monologue. Hilarious. "27 minutes past the hour. SportsMap Radio, the SportsMap Radio app. Phil Mickelson is back in the news. Yay! Coming up in about 13 minutes, we'll hear from Daryl Guru Johnson. He does a great job. 95.7 The Game, talk show host in the Bay Area. Get some thoughts with him on the Draymond Green story. Also, the 49ers, who along with the Cowboys are kind of my two darlings that I've sort of latched onto here at this stage of the season. Yeah, you kind of find your it teams or those teams you glom onto for one reason or another. And I've never been one of those NFL fans who's been all about defense. I like to see, points scored. I like offense. The chicks dig the long ball guy. I love watching home runs get hit, that sort of thing. And for some reason, those two defenses have made football so much different for me to watch this year, watching the way those two teams keep other teams off the scoreboard. And it's not necessarily offensive ineptitude. It's those defenses are really good. And I think they're Super Bowl caliber, and along with the weapons they have on offense, which may not be as many as the Buffaloes or the KCs or some of these other teams around the league, they're good enough with those defenses that they can go places. Absolutely. So anyway, I'm rather intrigued by those teams. Daryl Guru Johnson coming up about 12 minutes from now here on the show. So Phil Mickelson is back in the news. Lefty had basically left social media for a while. He was staying quiet as far as social media was concerned after the whole kerfuffle over him joining Live Golf. Some of the things he said regarding the Saudis, and what he thought was an off-the-record conversation that turned into an unauthorized biography that has certainly ruffled a lot of feathers around the golf world, with Mickelson originally suing the PGA Tour as part of Live Golf, then backing out of that. Well, he's back in Saudi Arabia for the first time since his disparaging remarks about the source of Live Golf's funding. On Thursday, Phil Mickelson said he's glad he's on the winning side, and he talked about the fact that the PGA Tour is going in the wrong direction in his mind, and he talked about that notorious interview with Alan Shipnuck. And now there's this idea that Phil Mickelson is sort of the recruiter-in-chief for Live Golf. That's not really Greg Norman per se. While Norman's the face of Live Golf from a leadership standpoint, it's guys like Phil who are on the back nine of their career, pun intended, and trying to convince guys to defect from the PGA Tour onto the Live Golf Tour. And by the way, only one player in the top 20 has left the PGA Tour, and that's Cam Smith. That's it. Everybody else has decided to stay put, at least as of now. And I think with the changes that the PGA Tour has made, I don't think that many more of those guys are going to be defecting for Live Golf. But here's something these Live Golf guys, and not even so much them because they're already there. They've already given up on the PGA Tour. They'll take whatever consequences come with that, whether it's not being able to be a member of the World Golf Rankings or Ryder Cup or President's Cup, and who knows what the majors decide to do. We'll wait and see. But what one thing that I think has been missed in all of this is the face of the movement against the PGA Tour. And look, you can have whatever gripes you want with the PGA Tour, and I think the Live Golf folks have exposed to a degree the fact that the PGA Tour had more money that they could have been putting out towards prize funds, had more money that they could have maybe even guaranteed in terms of travel expenses for these guys who go to tournaments, finish outside the cut line, and wind up going home with absolutely nothing. They could have been doing that before. And they only did it when Live Golf stepped in and launched its own tour and took some of their players. So to a degree, some of what Mickelson was going after was certainly validated in some of the changes that the PGA Tour made. With that being said, he's also not necessarily the right guy to be the face and leader because he's a complete phony. He's a fraud. I mean, he's a guy that got busted for insider trading and basically sold somebody down the river so that he didn't face charges himself. And now he's conning younger and older PGA Tour pros to defect to Live Golf. There's no getting around that. He's the guy that everybody thought was Arnold Palmer to Tiger's Jack Nicklaus. That he was the fans' man. He was the people's champion. And the reality is, the more you dug into the life of Phil Mickelson, you started to figure out he was a con artist. He was a guy that fudged his taxes. He was a guy that tried to, cash in on a persona that was completely made up. The high fives, the smiles. Oh, he was the good guy and Tiger was the villain. And then Tiger went down in a glorious, heap of flames with his infidelity, and then Elin chasing him with a golf club and smashing out the back of his SUV, and then he backs into a car, and then all the injuries, and Phil's just soaking up life as sort of the guy on the tour and the face of the tour. But then Tiger actually had a revival of his career. His time away made people appreciate him. Do you think that's happening for Phil if he ever comes back at this stage? Do you think anybody on the PGA Tour? Yeah, look, they have the American Express Championship out here in the Palm Springs area where I live. And Phil has been a fixture at that event forever. You think people aren't showing up, though, at the American Express out in La Quinta in a couple of weeks or a couple of months from now? I think it's in January. You think people aren't going to go to that event because Phil's not there? There are very few people that have the cachet that can basically make people ignore an event. Tiger Woods is one of those guys. But Tiger doesn't play anymore, so it doesn't really matter. But Phil stepping away and joining Live Golf, and people wondering, well, is the tour going to be the same without him and Bryson DeChambeau or Patrick Reed or Louis Oosthuizen or Tommy Fleetwood, or any of these guys? And great, go make your money. And look, as much as I sit here and poo-poo it and say I would never go to work for Live Golf, right? I've said that a million times here, podcasts, wherever I've been interviewed about it, whatever. I mean, if they offered me the kind of life-changing money that they've offered some of these guys, even some of the announcers like David Faraday that have bolted for it, which still is one of the stranger things I've seen in this whole saga. I mean, if they offered me that kind of life-changing money, as much as my principles mean to me, I'd have to consider it. I'm sure my partner wouldn't be too thrilled if I said no to a 7-figure deal to go join Live Golf in some broadcast capacity. Ultimately, I'd like to think I'm strong enough to say no to it, but you never know. But at the same time, only one or two of these guys that have joined the tour have actually been honest about why they joined. The money. And forgoing any sort of moral compass that should have kept them from going to it. If there was a rival golf tour that popped up, this isn't for me, like so many people, a choice between, the PGA Tour or some rival tour. It's the PGA Tour and the Saudi government that's funding this thing. That's what it's about to me. And yes, I could criticize the NBA and LeBron James for the fact that, the NBA has basically coddled China despite their human rights abuses. I get it, and I've criticized both. And I think you can criticize both. But Phil Mickelson is the face of your recruiting efforts. If any player is smart enough and does their homework on Phil Mickelson, they'll find that he's not really all that trustworthy. We're coming back with Daryl Guru Johnson. He hosts the midday show on the Warriors flagship station 95.7 The Game. We'll get his thoughts on the Niners as well. The Cash In on SportsMap Radio. Hey, Mickelson's a piece of trash. Went and did some bowling today. What were you going to say? I'll do it during this segment, if you don't mind. Cool. You know who's doing the show tomorrow, since it's not you? All right. All right. Went bowling today for the first time in 6 weeks. Last two games were 224, 224. So it just takes me, when I don't bowl for that long, it takes me a couple games to sort of find my arm slot and all that stuff. Really? I've been bowling since I was 9 and bowled kind of semi-professionally for a number of years, and I gave it up. Yeah, I Hey, if you miss anything from the show, the Cash In podcast is available. And hey, we're on Spotify now. I made sure to check it out. It's official. We're on Spotify. Spotify. What's Spotify, Brian? Sounds like a disease I could have picked up in a club. Spotify. I checked. We're on Spotify now. We're on Apple Music. I think we're in a couple other places too, but those are the two I remember. Oh, we're on iHeartRadio too. The podcast is available on iHeartRadio. So kind of cool. Check it out. The Cash In podcast. We basically take 3 or 4 segments from each show and we put them into the podcast. So you don't have to listen to 3 hours. Just find the best stuff. We go and get it for you. Cooked fresh daily. As soon as the show is done, it gets uploaded. So you can go and check it out for yourself. Tweet at the show at the back page. Tomorrow is Friday, and that means Page's Picks. I'm 10 and 11 on the year. I don't know. I'm not thrilled with my picks so far, but I have to be honest. I think this NFL season has been so unpredictable already in so many regards. I think there's 1 or 2 good games every week, and after that, I think it's extremely difficult to try and pick anything. I thought tonight was one of the easier picks of the week. Unfortunately, it's the Thursday night game, so I can't put it in with Page's Picks, which we'll do tomorrow on the show. You got anything good planned this weekend, Brian? Doing anything fun since this is your last time working with us this weekend? You doing anything? Going anywhere? Where's your sister live? I know. I've seen a map before. I know how far San Antonio is from Houston. Jesus. God. Hey, have you heard of this country called Texas? God. You know where San Antonio is? Never heard of it. All right. No, I will not be doing Chick-fil-A. I got to bowl in a tournament. I got to bowl in a real quick tournament on Saturday, just a 3-game tournament. And then I got to prep myself because a week from Friday, I'm bowling in a 9-game tournament over the course of Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then I got a week off, and then I'm bowling in a tournament in Phoenix after that. So I've got 3 tournaments in 4 weeks and a busted up rotator cuff and a whole lot of ice packs in my future. Yes, I'll have my flu game. Very good. It's a good reference. Yeah, it's gonna be a rough 3 or 4 weeks. Hopefully, I'll come back with an arm left. All right, Daryl Guru Johnson. He does a terrific job. 95.7 The Game. He's their midday host with Matt Steinmetz. They cover all things Bay Area sports. I used to work with Guru. Love the guy. Joined us on the show here tonight. And Guru, I guess the way I begin it is talking about the Warriors and this Draymond Green situation, where this organization is essentially, he came out today and the word on the street is the only reason the organization is keeping him around and not suspending him for opening night is the whole thing with the ring ceremony and them not wanting to have to keep him out of that. But they've essentially nurtured and encouraged this sort of behavior from Draymond for all these years. Am I wrong? Took me forever to get the train on the track. Jesus Christ. Have to take a couple of showers. I love him. He's so good. He's so the opposite of me, and I think that's why it worked so well with us. Is I'm pretty straight-laced, I could be funny from time to time, but not like him. We come from such different backgrounds and perspectives that it just worked really well. Yeah. Yeah. Be right back. So I'm hoping. Guru and I, it was like we never stopped working together tonight. Listen to him. Oh, I love him. I gotta say, guys like him or hosts who come on and do interviews, I got to be honest, I'm the opposite. I will not do radio interviews with the exception of one station back east in my home state. I do not do interviews because I'm so and not because of other stations or anything. It's just it takes everything I have to do 3 hours by myself every night that I just can't do it. Now, if I was making seven figures and I had to do it as part of my syndication deal, sure, I'd do it. But if I don't have to, I'm not doing it. No. All right, I'll have to be quick coming out. So this chunk that you got ends with him saying Daryl Guru Johnson joining us on the program tonight? Okay, got it. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, 10 seconds. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, shit on a shingle. Hold on. Yeah, hold on. I'll get it to you. It's only going to take me a second. All right, let's see. Brian. Which segments were we doing again? The Snyder, Guru. Got it. Sent. Thank you. Thanks. I'm texting you a a picture that you should have to make your screensaver on your phone. This came in the mail today. You're gonna love it. This just came in the mail today. No, look at your phone. I just texted it. ASPCA. (800-224-2004). Tweet at us at the back page. We'll come back, wrap up this episode of the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. Thank you, sir. Wow. Bum. 6. Enjoy the baseball tomorrow. We got 3 games tomorrow. Guardians, Yankees, 1:08 p.m. Eastern first pitch. Braves, Phillies in cheesesteak land, 4:38 p.m. Eastern. Dodgers and the Padres, 8:38 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be fun. Hey, if you haven't done so yet, go and check out my friends at Jock MKT. If it sounds like jock market, that's because it is. Just like the stock market, you go in, you put in bids, you take stock in players. If they perform well, you get paid. Claim your 100% deposit bonus right now by using promo code CASHIN. It's a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. All you have to do is go over and download the Jock MKT app or go to jockmkt.com. Jock MKT app or jockmkt.com. 100% deposit bonus. And again, use the promo code CASHIN to do just that. 100% deposit bonus up to $100. I've played with the app. It's a lot of fun. Go and grab a couple of players for either a slate of games or one game. You can get one player. You can get 5 players. It's up to you. Use the promo code CASHIN, 100% deposit bonus up to $100. Jock MKT, stay in the game. Good job tonight, Brian McDonald, producing it back in Houston. We'll catch you back here for a Friday edition of the Cash In with Page's Picks. I am Jason Page, the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. We'll see you next time. Bye! Brian, awesome work tonight. Seriously. Thank you. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye. All right. Thanks for watching tonight. Hope you guys all have a great night. Enjoy the baseball tomorrow. We'll see you for a Friday edition of the Cash In here on any one of the video streaming platforms we're on. Have a great night. We'll see you next time.